Ron Kamonohashi Episode 7 starts on a small personal boat. Ishiki and Ron are getting a ride to the island. The one driving the boat tells them detectives were invited because people will be thinking about the incident. Ron asks what is the incident. He then talks to himself on he shouldn't have asked, but he wants to know, but he can't. Ishiki tells the man to ignore him. The man says nothing should happen, aka something will be happening. We arrive on the island. The island is popular for its sugarcane. The man owns the island. He tells Ron and Ishiki only staff at the observatory and guests at the observatory are on the island. Ron asks if this island's black sugar syrup is made from the sugarcane. Ron wants to have the black sugar syrup 3 times a day. Ron brought a hula hoop. They can all hula hoop in the observatory. Ishiki says, why? They arrive at the observatory. There is a pistol on display. The owner of the island says it wards off evil. The tradition is to protect the island's sugarcane. Every household had a flintlock charm. We go inside the planetarium, and when the door is open, there is a chef inside screaming. She tells the men she comes to the planetarium to scream when others make her mad because the planetarium is soundproof. This is so true. I used to work in a planetarium. One day at work, a kid set a bathroom on fire and the fire alarm went off. I heard nothing. When it was time to start my next show, I opened the doors to let people in and no one was outside. The fire alarm was blinking and I watched a fireman walk in the hallway. I logically decided to close the door. I returned to my quiet planetarium. If it was a true emergency, the fireman would have told me to leave when he saw me open the door. But when I opened the door, the fire was already out, so there was no emergency because the emergency was taken care of. Working in the planetarium, I missed all the announcements made while working. Back to the anime. Because these rooms have great soundproof, in the anime, someone is going to die here. No one will hear the gunshot. Oh, well, maybe not. Everyone will be maybe in this room looking at the night sky, and whoever dies will be outside the room and no one will hear the gunshot. We meet a new character who has his hair cut around one eye for easy access to look at a telescope. He hardcore loves the night sky. His name is Danzawa. Danzawa does not like Ron nor Ishiki because they are not hardcore astronomy fans. We meet a woman named Onodira. We meet John Grizzly. John was Ron's instructor at Blue. When someone dies here, I don't know if it will actually happen, but it would be cool to see the instructor John Grizzly and Ron team up to solve the case. Their personalities can be wild. I want to see it. John and Ishiki are the 2 detectives here to make sure the incident doesn't happen again. Onodira knows about the incident and Ron tells her not to say details as he has his hand over his ear for her to whisper the details. Ron says if Ishiki wants to be told details, he can while Ron is also listening. John, who should know about Ron, tells the room 5 years ago 7 people died here by a gun. The gun was never found. They were unable to figure out who did it. Ron is intrigued by this cold case. The owner is holding a viewing party so others can move past the incident. He wants people not to look at this observatory as a place someone got murdered at and a place where people look at the sky. An idol randomly appears and says this is all so touching. She is an idol called Orihime. Ron opens the dome. The guests cannot wait to look at the sky. The owner says the viewing party will start at 11 p.m. Until then, the guests can enjoy eating. For dinner, Ron has the best setup, and all his food is covered in the syrup he wanted. Danzawa tells Ishiki Ron's behavior is fine. Onodira also likes Ron. Ishiki wants to talk to John about Ron. Does he know Ron's behavior for when he was in school? Does he know how to cure Ron? Which is a plot hole now. John and Ishiki both know about Ron. John knows more details and shares them with Ishiki. 5 years ago, Ron was doing a hands-on training exercise. They were trying to solve a case. Ron solved the case and said it was 7 killers. When police arrived to the crime scene, Ron was standing with a knife and the 7 were dead. This is called the bloody training incident. That is it possible this is connected to the incident at the observatory? Ron forgot what had happened, so the conclusion was to take his detective license away and he could no longer become one. John says if it was up to him, he would have given Ron the death penalty. Orihime tells Ishiki to stop Ron from hula hooping. He does stop. The meteor shower starts. They are enjoying the view. The nighttime sky looks so amazing. Ishiki asks where Onodera is. Danzawa says she's in her room to get her photography equipment. That was 3 hours ago. The dome opens and we hear a gunshot. So the murder took place in the planetarium, but since the dome opened, it is no longer soundproof and they heard the gun. The only ones on the roof are John, Ishiki, Danzawa, Orihime, and the island owner. This means the chef, Ron, and Onodera are missing. The chef is there, so maybe she was on the roof. The men push against the door to break it open. The power is not working in the dome. They have to use flashlights. Onodera is dead on the ground. She is covered in blood. Ron is also on the ground. However, Ron has no blood on him. Ron is laying next to the gun. He looks like he killed Onodera. Bloody training incident part 2. The group thinks Ron did it. Ron, still laying on the ground, says he went to his room to sleep and was awoken by a scream. He doesn't remember anything. His eyes are still closed and he is still laying on the ground. Ron comments, he looks like he is in a bad situation right now, doesn't he? John tells everyone to stop talking. They are all suspects like Ron. John will do an investigation on everyone. John says Onodera is still warm, meaning she recently died. She was killed in the back. The gun was the display gun to keep out evil. All the lights in the room are broken. Without a ladder, exiting the dome would be hard. John says Ron did it, just like 5 years ago. The door was locked, so the killer is in the room, and the only 2 people in the room is someone alive and someone dead. Ron goes to stand when his hand touches the room key. All the evidence conveniently makes Ron the killer. When evidence is this convenient, it means it was a setup. Cases are never this easy to solve on who did it when the door's locked. Who did it plots are not easy. John tells Ishiki to arrest Ron. Ron is not wearing shoes, so Ishiki needs to bring shoes for him to wear to not cut himself on the broken glass. This is a clue of innocence. The room is covered in broken glass. Ron's body doesn't have any scratches from it, yet Ishiki does not look at Ron's body nor his feet for this. Ron is taken to a room where he tells Ishiki the last thing he remembers is falling asleep. Ishiki asks him if this is how he felt after the bloody training incident. Ron says since he cannot remember anything, he must be the murderer. Ishiki tells Ron he only kills those who are proven guilty for killing. Onodera did not kill anyone, so Ron didn't kill her. Ron tells Ishiki he's actually useless when it comes to using a gun. He cannot aim properly. Ishiki now has to prove Ron didn't do it, and also that he didn't kill 5 years ago at the bloody training incident. This is how episode 7 ends, and it will be continued in episode 8. Episode 8, I don't think this observatory planetarium murder case lasts longer than that, so episode 8, we are going to find out who actually killed and how they did it and how they set up Ron, which I'm sure they set up Ron because he ate a lot of food and it had a lot of syrup in it, so they could have just drugged his food to make him asleep. YouTube, you can comment below on your theories on maybe who you think did it or how they did it or how they even set up a Ron. Go give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for listening and watching.